quorum and can proceed.
It looks
Do you
that
agree?
way.
Okay.
It looks that way.
All right, then good morning, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. And we will start with approval of the agenda. Joe, would you mind showing that on the screen?
I think after all this time, I'd be more adept at such things.
It's been a couple months.
Look at that.
All right. So the agenda is on the screen. It's July 3rd, 9:03 a.m. meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee to the Transportation Advisory Board. And are there any changes from members to the agenda today? Otherwise, the agenda will be adopted as shown. Chat up. All right. Lisa can't hear me. Can everyone else hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Lisa, maybe jump out and jump back in again and see if that helps. All right. Seeing no changes or action item or requests for change from committee, then the agenda is approved. Next item is approval of our minutes from our June 5th meeting. And anyone like to move the minutes?
Chair, this is Robert Ellis. I'll move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Robert. Is there a second?
Alyssa Leitner will second.
Thank you, Alyssa. We have a first and a second. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes from June 5th? Seeing none. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Go ahead, Joe.
Anoka County, McPherson.
Aye.
Carver County, Robgent. Carver County. Dakota County, Laborie. Or Mitteco.
Aaron's not here today, but I will vote aye.
Hennepin County, Piper.
Aye.
Ramsey County, Isaacson. Isaacson? Scott County, Jensen.
Aye.
Washington County, Leitner.
Aye.
7W, Witter. Or Bot. Tab Coordinator, Kotsukos.
Aye.
MTS Peterson, Steve.
Aye.
Community Development, Boylan.
Aye.
Metro Transit, Harrington. Flintoff. Anybody? Okay. MnDOT Metro, McCartney.
Hey, Joe, this is Molly. I'm going to abstain just because I wasn't at the meeting and I'm pretty sure you're going to get it. So,
Okay. MPCA, AO. Mac, Reef.
I'll abstain. I wasn't at the meeting.
Suburban Transit, Fighton.
Aye.
Freight, Meyer. Deed, Eddie. Bicycle, Sabota. Pedestrian, Turner Bargain.
Aye.
Bloomington Keel. Chanhassen Howley. I saw you. Lakeville Omi. Hi. Let's see. Eden Prairie Ellis.
Aye.
Fridley Kazlucher.
Aye.
Brooklyn Park Ruiz.
Aye.
Plymouth, Thompson is out. Woodbury, Hartzell.
Abstain.
Minneapolis Engineering, Hager.
Aye.
Minneapolis Planning, Mail. St. Paul Engineering, Nick Peterson.
Aye.
And St. Paul Planning, Dermody.
Aye.
19 ayes and some, 21 ayes and some abstentions. That is a quorum and a approval.
All right, thank you, everyone. That item is approved. And so now we will move forward. And is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment on the committee business today? Seeing none, we will move to the tab report. Elaine.
Thank you, Chair. TAB met June 12th, a week early because of Juneteenth holiday. The executive committee met prior to the TAB meeting and just reviewed the items that were on the TAB agenda. For the MnDOT report, Connie Siebjen reported on the legislature giving MnDOT an opportunity to enhance its relationship with the council in delivering LRT projects. MnDOT is already working with the council on the construction of the Southwest LRT. And the governor signed the bill into law, which means MnDOT will be working with the council more closely, and MnDOT is expecting to add 2 to 3 more positions soon. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, Todd B1 reported that MPCA produces a greenhouse gas inventory. The previous inventory was completed through 2020, and there have been reductions in greenhouse gas emissions shown across all types of industries, resulting in transportation now showing as the highest. The next inventory will be released in 6 months. It'll go through 2022. And the VW settlement is close to finishing up phase 3. For the Metropolitan Airports Commission report, Carl Crimmins reported that there is a lot of road construction around the airport, and to add more time when you're transitioning to the airport. Lufthansa has added direct flights to Frankfurt, Germany. There are more people flying than ever before, exceeding the 2019 passenger levels. And 6 gates will be added to Terminal 2. For the Metropolitan Council report, Deb Barber reported on Metro Transit Zero Emission Transition 2023 annual report, and also announced that the Blue Line was celebrating its 20-year anniversary and the Green Line its 10-year anniversary. For the Suburban Transit Association, Gary Hansen reported that the suburban transit providers' ridership continues to trend upward. Julie Jepson reported on the Advisory Council on Traffic Safety. At their meeting the previous week, they had discussed their legislative priorities for next year. And then Jed Shetnan of the Metropolitan Council provided a legislative update on the activities of the 2024 Minnesota legislature. The TAB did have some discussion on a newly created council, the Minnesota Advisory Council on Infrastructure. There were 2 business items. The TAB approved 2 streamlined tip amendments that came through TAC. And then there was several information items. Chair Hovland reported that for the regional solicitation evaluation update, the policymaker work group will have its next meeting on July 17th at 10 a.m. prior to the TAB meeting. And then Glenn Johnson reported on the active transportation work group. This group is meeting monthly. All regional solicitation options for funding include active transportation funding, approximately $15.8 million. And they discussed whether to add more funding, but decided to leave it the same at that point. Of course, they've had a meeting subsequent they decided to up that funding. Future meetings will discuss how to manage the grants that are awarded, what to do next for funds, and then working with the regional solicitation evaluation for long term. And on the 2024 regional solicitation scenarios, Steve Peterson presented information on the 3 funding scenarios and requested feedback. Jeni Hager provided an update on the TAC discussion. TAB's discussion did focus mainly on the 2nd and 3rd options, the safety and the bike pedestrian options. TAB requested staff to investigate investing some additional over-programming funds on the order of another 5 to 8 million, with the focus on bike pedestrian projects. TAB also provided feedback to fund 2 additional safe routes to schools projects. Steve Peterson presented the list of the proactive and reactive list for the HTIP funding program. Also, there was a information item on the 2050 Transportation Policy Plan. Cole Hineker presented information on the schedule for public comment and timeline for approval. TAB will have an action item at its July 17th meeting to release the draft for public comment. And then Joe Barbeau presented information on the scope change policy update, and an action item will be coming to TAB at a future meeting. And that is my report.
Thank you, Elaine. Does any committee members have questions for Elaine on the TAB report? Okay, seeing none, I just want to take a moment, and it looks like WebEx has gone through some sort of update. It looks different on my screen, and I think there's a couple members who are having some trouble getting in fully. And so I just want to acknowledge that right now, if you are having challenges and want to message the group through the chat or connect through email with Elaine or Joe to let us know if you're on by cell phone or trying to get on fully, you know, if your computer's doing an update. But I just want to acknowledge it looks different for me. I'm guessing it looks different for many of you as well. And we've been in person for a couple months, so folks might be getting resettled here in a virtual format. So I am going to go ahead, and I see no questions for Elaine on the TAB report. So we will move to committee reports and start with the executive committee. Robbie has a couple of TIP amendments to walk us through, but before he does that, I have just a couple of quick updates for the group. The Active Transportation Working Group did meet last week, and the update will be shared with TAB at their next meeting here in a couple of weeks. And so at that update, the Active Transportation Working Group will be making a recommendation to TAB that they do not, that we should not pursue a 2025 solicitation for active transportation funding. So that is not a done deal decision yet, because that's a recommendation being made to TAB. But that update I thought would be helpful for this group here today, because I do think it factors into the hybrid scenario that FMP put together and is part of our package today, and the conversation that this group will be having later on for that agenda item. And then looking at our upcoming meeting schedule and what is coming forward for action items, we are considering canceling our August meeting. Many of you who've been on the committee for a while know that we often do cancel the July meeting. There's not a lot of meetings, but we are meeting this July because of the regional solicitation. There is a chance that we'll be able to cancel the August meeting. Right now, the only item that we have coming forward that would be ready is an action on the scope change policy that the technical working group has been working on. And so if we did not meet that item, would just go forward in September instead. We are tracking to see if there might be any TIP amendments that might come forward. So we should know in a couple of weeks whether we're going to cancel or not, and then you will get a notification through your email. The TIP, the 2024 to or 2025 to 2027 TIP or 2028 TIP item that was coming forward, the public comments, those are going to TAB in August. And so in acknowledgement of the conversation that this group had last month on that whole process, the public comments will be shared with TAC through your email. So you will see what those public comments are, and you will have the opportunity to connect with your TAB representative before that item comes before TAB and share any thoughts that you might have with your TAB rep before they take action on those public comments. So that is the plan for our upcoming meetings. Any questions from committee members on that? Seeing none, I am going to turn it over to Robbie to walk us through 2024-33 and 2024-34, which are streamlined TIP amendments.
Sure. So I'll just be walking through 2024-33. 2024-33 is a streamlined 2024-2027 tip amendment request for MnDOT's Minnesota 121 and CSAH 22 improvements project. So MnDOT is requesting a cost increase of its mill and overlay project on Minnesota 121 in Minneapolis, and to add a new project for safety improvements at the westbound Minnesota Highway 62 loop at Minnesota 121. The original project cost is about $1.6 million. About 60% of those funds are federal funds. The remainders are state and local funds. The requested amendment is to increase the total cost to $2.164 million. And the bulk of that increase is local funds. So it's about $500,000 increase. 430,000 of that is local funds. Additionally, technical correction was added to the location of this project. The project was funded with MnDOT SDP funding and not funded through regional solicitation. And then additionally, MnDOT requests to add a new project at the intersection of Minnesota 121 and the westbound Minnesota Highway 62 loop. The intersection improvement is to expand pork chop. I had to do some research to find out what a pork chop is. Pork chop is the concrete island that separates the dedicated right turn from the northbound through lane. They're expanding that pork chop so that it removes the appearance of a northbound through lane from going across the loop on Minnesota 121, marked on the dot on the map there. Then it's a new state project number. With it has been associated with the larger Minnesota 121 and CSAH 22 project. The total cost of this new project is $28,000, with $25,200 in federal funds and the remainder in state funds. This is a highway safety improvement program project funded through MnDOT's HSIP program and not the regional competitive HSIP solicitation. The recommended motion in front of you is that the Technical Advisory Committee recommend that TAB recommend adoption of an amendment to the 2024-2027 TIP to increase the cost of MnDOT's Minnesota 121 mill and overlay project and make a technical correction to its location and add a new project. And I stand for questions.
Thank you, Robbie. Any questions on this item or anyone who would like to move the item?
Madam Chair, this is Joe with Anoka County. I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Turner Bargan, second.
Thank you, Mackenzie. We have a first and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Joe?
Anoka County, McPherson.
Aye.
Carver County, anybody? Dakota County, Robbie.
Dakota County Mitteco is aye.
I was reading my previous line. Thank you, Gina.
Sorry.
Hennepin County, Piper.
Sorry. Aye.
Oh, I think I heard Lyndon back there.
Looks like Lyndon is back.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Aye for this motion, Lyndon?
Aye. Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Isaacson, Ramsey County.
Aye.
Scott County, Jensen.
Aye.
Washington County, Leitner.
Aye.
7W. Okay. Tab, Kotsukos.
Aye.
Met Council, MTS, Steve Peterson.
Aye.
Community Development, Boylan.
Aye.
Metro Transit, anybody?
Aye.
Is that Adam?
Yep.
Thank you. McCartney, MnDOT Metro.
Aye.
MPCA?
Aye.
Mac? Oh, thank you, Innocent. Mac? Okay, Suburban Transit. Oh, Bridget? Was that Bridget?
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
aye. Can you
Oh, yeah,
hear
you
me?
were here. Yes, I got you. Sorry. Suburban Transit, fighting? Here. MnDOT Freight, Meyer. Deed, Eddie.
Aye.
Bicycle, Sabota or Novak. Pedestrian, Turner Bargan.
Aye.
Healed out. Chanhassen Howley. Okay. Member Lakeville Omi.
Aye.
Eden Prairie Ellis.
Aye.
Fridley Kozlucher.
Aye.
Brooklyn Park Ruiz.
Aye.
Thompson's out. Woodbury, Hartzell.
Tony Kutsky, Woodbury, attending as alternate for Hartzell. Aye.
Okay. Fix that. Hager, Minneapolis Engineering.
Aye.
Mail Planning.
Aye.
Nick Peterson, St. Paul Engineering.
Aye.
And St. Paul Planning, Dermody. Guys have it. Oh, Bill, did I hear you there?
Aye, yes.
Thank you. The ayes have it.
All right, that item with pork chops and all is approved. And so Joe, it sounds like you're doing 2024-34?
Yes, Chair, thank you. So this is a tip amendment from MnDOT District 3. It's involving a project in Wright County. And as most of you probably know by now, we do have small areas of Wright and Sherburne County that fall into our MPO planning area per the 2020 US Census. So sometimes we get actions in those areas. So in this one, this is a request for the I-94 bridge over Wright County Road 19. And the project was obviously not selected through the regional solicitation. It was funded in part with the Quarters of Commerce program and a bridge funding program. So I know this is a small amount of money, but the reason that it includes Quarters of Commerce funding is because it's connected with the larger Quarters of Commerce project that was placed in the tip last fall. That was I-94 from 0.4 miles west of Monticello to 0.4 miles east of CSAH 37 up in that area. It was a 2 to 3 then expansion. And so that's in there. This little piece was pulled out as a separate item. And it's being moved from 2024 to 2025 in this action. And the other piece of the project is the increase in total cost, all of which is local. So that's really all I have. Here's the location. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Joe on this item or anyone who would like to move it?
Madam Chair, this is Joe with Anoka County. Again, I'll move this one.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
Molly
Nick.
McCartney.
I heard Molly. So we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Joe?
Anoka County, McPherson.
Aye.
Carver County, Robgent.
Aye.
Dakota County, Mitteco.
Aye.
Hennepin County, Piper.
Aye.
Ramsey County, Isaacson.
Aye.
Scott County, Jensen.
Aye.
Washington County, Leitner.
Aye.
7W, no. Tab Coordinator, Kutsukos.
Aye.
Met Council, MTS, Steve Peterson.
Aye.
Community Development, Boylan.
Aye.
Metro Transit, Harrington.
Aye.
MnDOT Metro, McCartney.
Aye.
MPCA, AO.
Aye.
Mac, Reef.
Aye.
Suburban Transit, Fighton.
Aye.
Deed, Eddie.
Aye.
Bike, no. Pedestrian, Turnbergen.
Aye.
Who's here? Lakeville, Omi.
Aye.
Eden Prairie, Ellis.
Aye.
Fridley, Kozlucher. Kozlucher?
Aye.
You, Brooklyn Park, Ruiz.
Aye.
Woodbury, Kutsky.
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering, Hager.
Aye.
Planning, Mail.
Aye.
St. Paul Engineering, Nick Peterson.
Aye.
And Planning, Dermody.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, that item is approved and that is the end of our executive committee report. And so I will turn it over to Gina for a planning committee report.
Thanks, Jenny. So TAP planning met. Sorry, I'm not doing well with the new WebEx format. It's distracting me. But anyway, so TAP planning met, and the the main action, or the only action, was to release the draft 2050 Transportation Policy Plan for public comment. TAC Planning unanimously recommended that action for TAB to release the TPP for review and comment. We did also recommend that staff review the draft just to make sure that any changes that were made this session, which happened pretty late in the development of the plan, just to check the draft to make sure that all the language in there reflected recent changes, primarily related to the greenhouse gas emissions legislation that had changed, but that staff did a review of all legislative changes and did have a chance, it looks like, to update the draft between TAC Planning and the meeting today. I think Joe sent out an updated action transmittal earlier this week, maybe late last week, with those red line changes. Cole has a presentation and we'll probably go through the specifics of what is the same from what TAC Planning approved last month, and anything that has changed. There are some new elements like the environmental justice analysis that was not complete in time for TAC Planning's review. And it sounds like there are some maybe highway project lists that change. It looks like TAC Planning will not meet this month as well. So that completes my update. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Gina. Any questions for Gina while Cole is getting his content ready to share? Seeing none, go ahead, Cole. Oh, I thought Cole was.
I'm trying. Is it shared? Okay.
It's this new WebEx. Is anybody else seriously struggling with this? It all looks different.
just note it's even worse if you're trying to share your screen. But
okay.
Yeah, so I'm not going to walk through a formal presentation, but I will cover a couple of pieces. So just to add on to Chair Mitteco's comments, we did address a couple things in addition to TAC Planning's comments. They are noted here that we had to make some changes to the overview, the highway chapter, the transit investment plan. Those were all in response to the legislative changes, and they're pretty minor changes, but they were just text corrections to reflect any new policy direction from the state. Was that Bill? Did you have?
I heard someone in the background. I did not see a hand raised. Was a committee member trying to make a comment or ask a question? Okay, if you are not speaking, please make sure you are muted on your computer and go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, so the other changes that we made were some corrections to some highway projects and some projects that were accidentally omitted from the first draft. Just a oversight on our part. Some figure references were corrected. That's more of an administrative change. These are all reflected in the red line edits and the versions that are posted for TAC today. So you can see essentially every change that was made from what TAC Planning reviewed versus what is available today. And I will say the changes are pretty minor. I'll show you the majority of them today. The environmental justice document is entirely new, just noting that that is also not entirely complete. We're still doing some additional analysis, particularly on accessibility measures, but we are hoping to get that ready for TAB. It is, for those of you who don't know, the environmental justice document is just an evaluation of the plan against environmental justice populations. And so we'll at least provide an update to TAB, but we're hoping that that'll be ready in time for TAB to review. But I would say that's just going to add a couple of additional evaluation factors. So with that, I wanted to talk quickly about some of the changes. First thing I wanted to do is just show you a revised outline for what we're calling the overview. This is actually going to be the transportation chapter of Imagine 2050, which will be the regional development guide. The structure is to provide a fair amount of context, things that don't exist in any of the other content like the investment plans. So some background on the plan structure, what fiscal constraint is, our plan development process. There's a fair bit of content on the regional goals and the justification for why they're important goals for us to focus on. This content was shared with all of you prior to the action. So that was shared, I believe, a couple of months ago for TAC to provide comments, and we did receive some comments from TAC. But we did shorten it quite a bit. We did get some feedback from policymakers to not have so much context. And then there's sections on investments and some plan requirements. So some of the changes that we had to make after TAC planning are in this investments section, where you can see the projects that we had to add that were just missed on our part and a few date corrections. So these are not necessarily new projects. They're just projects that we failed to put into the plan as an oversight. These are all already in the 2040 TPP, and many of them are already in the TIP. So nothing new for the region in terms of these changes. I did want to just show you quickly too how the policies and actions document came together, give you a quick preview of the format that we ended up with. As I noted in a previous info item, we have a number of tags. That's the section I'm highlighting here that talk about what the actions are intended to direct, whether it's investment priority setting, local planning, capacity building, actions that our partners should be taking, particularly MnDOT, and then work program items. So ultimately, when we look at the policies, we added a couple of things. We added a index under each section so that you can click on individual policies to jump to them. The actions all have the tags at the bottom, and this will look much nicer in the final version, but this is just the working public comment draft. And then the roles are acknowledged here as well. So this has been improved in terms of its presentation from the last version you would have seen. The final thing I want to show you is the long-range capital project list. So this is just the other changes that we made here were, again, similar to what you saw in the previous iteration in the overview, just being reflected in a more specific document here. So with that, I would pause for comments. I know we got a busy agenda today, just to see if there are any comments or questions, and just note that the action that we're requesting today is that the TAC recommend to the tab that we release the 2050 draft transportation policy plan for public review and comment. And I would note that the public review and comment period would start August 15th and go through, I believe, the first week of October. And this, the overall TPP will go back to tab and to the Met Council for final adoption post public comment. And we would give an info item to TAC, but there will be no further action after the public comment period. I'm going to stop sharing just for a second, Chair, and see if there's any questions.
Great. Thank you, Cole. Are there any questions from committee members on this item? I think we could just take a moment and just recognize the amount of work, time, and effort that has gone into the development of this draft by everyone in this group and so many others that aren't on this meeting here today, and especially the Met Council staff who have led this process along the way. So just giving a little bit of a shout out there for everyone who's put some time and effort into this, and a thank you to Met Council staff for leading a process that was really well done. So thank you all for that. Any further comments or questions from committee members? Anyone who would like to move this item forward?
This is LaSalle. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Lissa. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Reese Brooklyn Park, second.
All right, thank you, Dan. So we have a first and a second. Any further discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Go ahead, Joe. Joe, are you there?
So I already had to unmute myself, and the only way I could figure out how to do it is to stop sharing. McPherson, Anoka County.
Aye.
Carver County, Robbie.
Aye.
Dakota County, Mitteco.
Aye.
Hennepin County Piper,
Aye.
Ramsey County Isaacson, Isaacson, Scott County Jensen,
Aye.
Washington County Leitner,
Aye.
7W Witter. Oh, not here, sorry. Tab Kotsukos,
Aye.
MTS Planning Peterson, Steve.
Aye.
Met Council Community Development Boylan,
Aye.
Metro Transit Harrington,
Aye.
MnDOT Metro McCartney,
Aye.
MPCA AO,
Aye.
Mac Reef,
Aye.
Suburban Transit Fighton,
Aye.
Deed Eddie, Pedestrian Turner Bargain,
Aye.
Chanhassen Howley, Howley, Lakeville.
I don't see a microphone next to his name on the participant list. I'm guessing it's a
Aye.
format issue with WebEx. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Hey, sorry. Aye.
No problem. Lakeville Omi,
Aye.
Eden Prairie Ellis,
Aye.
Ridley Kozlucher,
Aye.
Brooklyn Park Ruiz,
Aye.
Woodbury Kutsky,
Aye.
Minneapolis Engineering Hager,
Aye.
Planning Mayo,
Aye.
St. Paul Engineering Peterson, Nick,
Aye.
and Planning Dermody. Guys have it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That item is approved and concludes our planning committee report for today. So moving to funding and programming, Michael is out of the office today. And so Paul Omi is going to be leading on this report. Paul?
All right, thank you, Chair, Madam Chair. So funding program did meet on June 20th. We have two action items that we're bringing forward for you for consideration. The first item is a request to approve selected 20 projects, 20 metro projects for funding through the MnDOT safety improvement program, the HSIP program. So I don't know, was Steve Peterson going to give a background on this one, or Bethany? I'm not sure who was.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Omi. We do have, I think Corey Fesai, is he here from MnDOT? If not, Bethany?
Yeah, yes, I'm.
Okay, thanks, Corey. We did switch the agenda, so you wouldn't have to sit through the whole solicitation item like you did at F&P. So
Okay, I appreciate that.
I saved you a couple hours. There you go.
Yep. Okay, so this year's HSIP, we received 54 applications, and of those we funded 11 reactive and 11 proactive projects. Of those, MnDOT received 6 projects, the counties received 12 projects, and the cities received four projects. The total ended up being 16 million in proactive projects and about 15 million in reactive projects. And I think it was a really successful year. We didn't receive as many city projects as normal, but still I would say that it's a successful HSIP, and I guess I'm open to any questions. Sorry, I was expecting to come at the end. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for the update and the report. I do see one hand up right now. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I appreciate the update on that and running through the details there. One quick question for you, just one observation, looking at the number of projects that were submitted. There were a number of MnDOT projects that were submitted through this program. And like we just talked about on an earlier action item, MnDOT has a couple other funding opportunities for these types of projects. What's some feedback on that? Just noticing there's a number of new projects there, and I know
Right.
in the future here, MnDOT's going to have a much bigger pot of money to choose from, but here's just some background.
Right. This question has come up before, and I know Derek Lure has sent responses. I don't know if those responses are available to answer the question. I can't speak completely about that. I guess I would ask Derek Lure, but I know that one of his responses is that this is a pot of money that MnDOT, has put into a competitive process to allow cities and counties to participate in, whereas in a lot of other states, that money is just spent completely by the state transportation departments and is not shared. But MnDOT, with our history of doing the road safety or the safety reports and working with the counties, that's the direction that MnDOT has historically taken, is to make the money available to not just spend at the transportation department level. So that's, I know that was part of the previous response, but if you want a more complete response, we can find that previous response from probably 6 or 9 months ago.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And then, Madam Chair, just one follow-up question to that. As we look around, several of those projects that MnDOT had submitted look like they may have been combined with local partner efforts. And maybe you don't know the answer to this, but I assume that local partners were reached out to on this, so there may have been support from the local agency to push these forward. Any follow-up on that or any comments on that?
Yes, generally we will. I'm a transportation safety area manager for the East area. Generally, the other safety managers will be in discussion with our area folks to make sure that the cities and counties are aware and supportive of the projects if it's not just on our system.
Thank you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that question, Joe, because I had a very similar question, and I guess I would ask Corey if you could get that more complete response back, because I understand what you shared in terms of the response so far, but there are a number of local projects that didn't get funded. And so to better understand that methodology would, I think, be good, especially going into TAB. And maybe Molly, you have your hand up. Maybe you have more you want to share on this.
Yeah, I just want to expand a little bit about what Corey said. The HTIP funding is formula money to the state DOTs and not the MPO. And this gets asked, I think, every solicitation. I know it, and my previous experience on funding and programming, this has been asked a couple of times. I think in the 90s, when the state of Minnesota was not meeting its safety targets, and maybe the MnDOT was having a hard time delivering safety projects. The MPO was gracious enough to kind of work with MnDOT to do this kind of companion solicitation that runs alongside with the regional solicitation. And so I think the agreement at that time was that MnDOT would be an eligible applicant, as well as counties and cities. So that's why you do see MnDOT projects being funded along with local agencies. And I know we've prepared responses in the past, and I can work with Corey on something more if TAC feels like TAP could benefit from a little more explanation too.
Thank you for that, Molly. Lyndon, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Thanks, Molly. Yeah, this is a really important topic. I think maybe it's time that MnDOT could come and give a future presentation to the committee on safety in general, where they're going, the new money that's out there, update on the planning, that kind of thing, because this seems to be a very popular topic with TAB. I think it's time we did that. This has been a really great program for decades that the cities and counties have utilized to solve real problems. This is extremely important money to us. But I think maybe we need an update from MnDOT on where they're going.
Great idea, Lyndon. I like that. And so I don't know who carries that back or who the appropriate MnDOT staff would be to do that. Corey, is that you that could carry that message back and coordinate?
I can work with Molly and others to get a formal response back, or to work on a future presentation of how we worked the funding.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Lyndon, anything else? Otherwise, I'll go to Steve.
Oh,
ahead,
I'm good.
Steve.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Just a quick note. One of the final checks that we do with MnDOT on our funding and through the solicitation and this HSIP funding through them is to see if there's any overlap, because project applicants can't win both in the same cycle. And so we did have, and you'll see this in the tables, both in our tables and in Corey's tables here, that in particular some projects up in St. Francis and Anoka County opted to take the regional solicitation money versus they had a couple projects that were submitted by either St. Francis or Anoka County in HSIP, but there was a bigger award to take the solicitation. So they opted to take the federal funds for the solicitation, and then conversely, and this was kind of later in the process, Carver County also had a spot mobility roundabout project, and in both of these, and they decided to take the HSIP money. So that's one thing we'll talk about in the next item. I did want to, you can see that in the tables too, but just wanted to point that out, that that's a check that we kind of do after the scoring is done.
Yes, and I would add to that we probably had more of that this year than in previous years.
Thank you for that. Lyndon, was your hand back up, or is that from before?
Oh, sorry, that's from before.
Okay, no worries. We blame WebEx.
Yeah, WebEx.
Anyone else have questions on this item, or anyone who would like to move this item forward?
Madam Chair, this is Paul. Only I'll move this item forward.
Thank you, Paul. We have a first. Is there a second?
Second, Patrick Boylan.
Thank you, Patrick. We have a first and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, and I'm just pausing extra long because that unmute button seems to be tricky with the update. So seeing none though, go ahead, Joe. All in favor signify by saying aye by roll call.
McPherson, Anoka County.
Aye.
Rob Gent.
Aye.
Barbeau County. Mitteco.
Aye.
Piper.
Aye.
Isaacson. Jensen.
Aye.
Leitner.
Aye.
Kotsukos.
Aye.
Steve Peterson.
Aye.
Boylan.
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
McCartney.
Aye.
Ayo.
Aye.
Reef.
Aye.
Fighton.
Aye.
Eddie.
Aye.
Turner Bargan.
Aye.
Howley.
Aye.
Omi.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Lucher.
Aye.
Ruiz.
Aye.
Thompson. Oh, sorry. Not Kutsky.
Aye.
Hager.
Did you say Hager?
Yes.
Yeah, aye.
Mayel,
Aye.
McPeterson,
Aye.
and Dermody.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, that item is approved, and we will move to 2024-31. This tiny little topic called the regional solicitation.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Joe, are you able to share the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go through the PowerPoint, and then I did want to spend just a little bit of time on the other attachment, the tables, and what the recommendation of the hybrid scenario from F&P is, and how that impacts the project list. So next slide here, Joe.
I'm having a hard time sharing for the whole thing. Here, look at that, I guess, for now.
Yeah, that's fine. So today we're going to look at that. We've developed both kind of a pros and cons list, but then if you want to make a recommendation as F&P did, you can, and so that would be part of the motion if this group feels like they want to make a recommendation up to tab of one of the four scenarios that are on the table at the moment, or an iteration of that. The action item also includes 17 active transportation regional sales tax projects. These projects are above the federal funding, and those 17 projects, we talked a little, Chair Hager opened up a little bit with this, but it was at 14 projects, and then we heard from TAB specifically that they wanted to fund the last two Safe Routes to School projects on the list. So numbers we funded, so 10 out of 10 there for Safe Routes to School. And in looking at doing that since the TAB meeting, both those were $1 million projects. We identified those two projects and then another small one from Three Rivers Park District that was 900,000 and change. That we said, well, if TAB wants to fund these, really the best source is active transportation. We brought that back to the active transportation work group, and they agreed and recommended that we add those. So that's how we went from 14 projects to 17 projects. And it does help too that that work group did say that they are not interested in doing a 2025 solicitation. So that likely pushes out the next active transportation solicitation to 2026. And there could be upwards of, if you wanted to spend every dime in it could be $75 million to $100 million if TAB wants to spend all of it. So anyway, just a little background there. Next slide. So at the June 12th TAB meeting, a few summary comments. We had the same slide at F&P, but I'd say the biggest takeaway that we heard at a staff level from that group is that they wanted to build consensus and come together either on one of the scenarios or a combination of the scenarios. Most of the discussion, I'd say, was on that option 2, the safety, or option 3, the bike ped option. That's where most of the conversation was at TAB. And they also asked us to look at putting in a little bit more over programming and see if that could kind of bring together the region around a scenario. So they asked us to, we had about 10% over programming. Traditionally, in the last few cycles, we've done about 8 to 12% over programming. And so what F&P recommended was an additional $10 million, so just above maybe what TAB had asked of us. And that puts the total over programming at about 14% overall. And they want some input as to whatever level of over programming was recommended, kind of the reasonableness of whatever level that may be. And then, as I mentioned before, they did want to see those last two Safe Routes to School projects funded. So that was a Hennepin County sponsored project, kind of in the West Metro, Shorewood and Excelsior, and then the second one was Arden Hills Safe Routes to School project. So next slide. So we had, I think, really one of the best funding and programming meetings we've had in a long time. And we, as a group at that F&P meeting, were able to kind of take that feedback from TAB and develop, I'd say, a compromise. We're calling a hybrid scenario, option 4. And what that did, and working through it at the F&P meeting, would fund, I said most of the conversation was around that options 2 and option 3. They weren't very different, and that was recognized last month at this group here. So it would fund all of the projects in both safety and bike ped. It would add one additional transit modernization project, the last one on that list from MBTA, and then the 3 new active transportation projects. So we kind of took a look at the revenue and different ways to kind of meld these scenarios together, and it was a combination of over programming by a little bit more, going from the 10% to 14%, more active transportation, and then we did use some of the set aside for unique projects to get a little bit more revenue in, as opposed to having a set aside in those earlier years, because we don't know if that unique projects category will continue after the regional solicitation evaluation. If it does, we still could fund it, but it wouldn't be in those same years. Okay, next slide. Here's the breakdown of the modal percentages. It does not include active transportation. And so you can see with the hybrid scenario, and that's the recommendation option 4, what it looks like from a modal balance perspective. And one thing that a great mathematician, Jason Piper, pointed out to me offline was, even though we did add a transit project in the hybrid scenario, it was about a little over $2 million, because the overall over programming that we added was more than that, the bottom of that funding range, 25%. On a percentage basis, even though you got another transit project, on a percentage basis, it still went down a little bit up to that 21.1%. So it maybe doesn't make sense in your brain, but when you do the numbers and you added more revenue, it needed more than that $2 million to kind of keep pace with the modal funding range. So you can see we added in total kind of around, relative to the safety scenario, around $15 million got added in total between some of these different revenue sources. The next slide. And here's the recommended motion. Over programming at 14% to fund all the projects in bike ped and safety options. And I think we would clean that up and just recommend one of the scenarios this go around versus this. This is meant to be the hybrid scenario, all the language in the first bullet point. So whether it's that one or another scenario, that if you want to recommend one, I would say that would we should just say that to clean up the motion. Does recommend the 17 active transportation projects. Got good clearance from that work group on doing that. So I think that's pretty good. And then if we do want to add to the pros and cons table, we can do that here today. So now let's switch over, Joe, if you wouldn't mind, to the tables. And are you able to switch over, Joe, or is it still in progress? There we go. We did at F&P, I'll say we didn't spend very much time on the pros and cons of each option that's in the business item on page 2. At a staff level, we tried to take what we heard from the meeting and start building out that table, but the focus was really building that hybrid scenario, and it wasn't on the pros and cons. So kind of we'll fully admit that there, that we didn't spend a lot of time on it. Onto the table. So we did. Then we did add to the tables this new column for hybrid, and I'll just kind of walk through each of the tables so people know what's included or not included in that. So for roadways, the hybrid option includes every project in the safety, which wasn't is also in the safety option 2. So same exact project list as the safety 2. The one thing to note is that the Carver County project, spot mobility number 7 on that list for $2 million. They took the HSIP money, and that's noted in the table. And F&P used that revenue, and that's what funded that last transit project. So same projects in roadways. Now, if you could scroll down, Joe. To transit, this teal blue is kind of the new projects on the list. So we started, I'd say the hybrid starts with a safety option and builds off that. So again, you can see here in that teal color, transit modernization, that 4th project was one that F&P had added in the hybrid option. Okay, next slide. Or page. Here for the hybrid option, you will see every project that is funded in bike ped is also funded in hybrid. In addition, it's funding the last 2 Safe Routes to School projects. So you can see in the teal again where we added the money, and it gets you in the end, it gets you to the same place by using a little bit more over programming, 3 more active transportation projects. You're getting to that same project in multi-use trails number 12. You're getting in pedestrian facilities on the next page. You're getting to the same project in option 3 and 4, which is the Bloomington project number 12. And then in the change here would be using the active transportation revenue and Safe Routes to School funding all 10 out of 10 of those project submittals. We did update all the maps and other tables to reflect this new hybrid option, so you can kind of compare that as you scroll through. And I think, Madam Chair, maybe I'll turn it back to Chair Omi here and just see if he wants to add anything else on the F&P discussion before we open it up for questions. Just see if he wants to, if we missed anything there.
Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Steve. No, you did a good job summarizing our discussion. It was a lengthy discussion for sure, and it really did center around the additional funding. And now that the alternate transportation funding sources has been increased, I think that gives us some leeway into using that funds for the regional solicitation. So I think this is a good plan moving forward, based upon the feedback we received from funding and programming.
Thanks, Paul. I see one hand up. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I'll just start this conversation off with a motion here. I think based on the information that Steve and Chair Omi have shared with us, reading through the memo, and I think the intent of what TAB's direction was from their last meeting to explore some of those other alternatives, I would support and make a motion to recommend approval of the hybrid scenario, recognizing, like Mr. Piper had pointed out, that because of the overprogramming, it does reduce what appears to be the transit funding being underneath the low end of their funding range, but that's just related to the overprogramming. I think there are some comments about, or concerns maybe about, going to an overprogramming level of 14% versus the historic 10%. I think in reality, though, if you look back at our last several meetings, the number of program year extensions we've considered is a good sign that there's a number of projects out there. Naturally, with that many projects, there's going to be delays. So I think that's forward thinking for our partners at state aid to have a few more projects for them to assign money to in future years here. So again, supportive, and make a motion to approve the hybrid scenario.
I'll second that motion, Lyndon.
All right, we have a first and a second. And I will open it up now for further discussion from the group. And I guess as we consider our discussion here, it might be helpful for this group to put, if we don't want to totally flesh out the pros and cons list for the other, the full list of scenarios, right? At least maybe fleshing out some bullet points for, in addition to what Joe already described, for maybe why this committee is in support of the hybrid scenario. I think that would be very helpful going into tab. So a couple of hands up. I'll start with Gina.
Thanks, Chair. I lost my connection for a minute, so you may have covered this. Can you explain, the hybrid option, one of the main differences, and if I understand from the conversation at Executive Committee, this did not come from TAB, but came from funding and programming, was to fund that last transit modernization project. Can you explain the reasoning on that? And is it because just the over-programming reduced the overall percentage that Joe mentioned earlier?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair and Gina. Good question. We asked this question of TAB in the meeting because that was one of the technical comments last time we brought to TAB was, do you want to fund additional transit projects to get over that minimum percent in the modal funding range, 25%? We said we're just shy, and I would say we didn't get clear direction for staff to do that or not do that from the committee. The focus kind of went up other places in that meeting to talk about the different options. So I'd say we didn't get direction on that. So that was part of the motion from F&P to add that. And even though, like you said, I think you ran the money, even though we added a transit project, the percentage still went down because of we added more money in total.
And if I could just offer a little bit of an add-on to that from the TAB conversation, I think some of the transit representatives had indicated that they were more in support of the midpoint scenario because it did get them closer to at least the low end of their modal funding range. And so I think in pursuit of that consensus building on a scenario, I'm guessing that's why F&P recommended funding that last transit project. I wasn't there. Follow me if you want to chime in on that. Feel free. All right.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just going to go to the next person, but I was pausing to see because I know this new format. So go ahead, Paul.
Yep. So yeah, I think you summed it up very well. I mean, they just wanted to add another transit project in there. I think that was based upon the TAB's recommendation and their desire to increase that percentage.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go to Jim next. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Madam Chair, thanks. I think staff has done a good job of providing a summary of the pros and cons. I don't think that there's anything that's a mystery here. I don't know that there's anything to add to that really but obviously I'd recommend, sharing those with the TAB. And I do think that from a technical standpoint, the motion that was made for the hybrid scenario works. It does put, more projects in the ground and so improves the system faster. So I think from a technical standpoint, it's equal to, if not superior to the other options.
Great, thank you. Going to Jason next.
Thank you, Chair. Joe, if I can put you on the spot, if we could maybe go back to the PDF document, I think it's 17 pages. If we could just go to the key outcomes table on page 13 of 17. Just want to really emphasize a couple takeaways here on the hybrid option. So I think the hybrid option appears to perform really well across the board at the bottom. I think there's maybe 10 or so key outcomes. Kind of not surprisingly, but I think that is important to point out to TAB members. And then a couple individual measures within that key outcomes at the bottom. Joe, if you could scroll down. Specifically from Hennepin County's perspective, the monetized safety benefit, just recognizing the trends in fatal crashes and severe crashes, including those involving people walking and biking. And then secondly, from an accessibility or ADA standpoint, as the region continues to invest in light rail transit as well as bus rapid transit, I think it's very important that we make sure our sidewalks and bikeway facilities are accessible for those first last mile connections for transit services. So just wanted to share those observations.
Thank you, Jason. Lyndon.
Oh, thanks, Madam Chair. Joe, if you could go back to that pros and cons table real quick. I have a comment there as well, kind of similar to the transit funding modal. If you look at the ped bike, right, that one, I think in the cons category should say that that's over the range. I think that's 20.7. However, the hybrid scenario is under, but it funds 2 more ped bike projects, so it's kind of misleading. It's more money, same kind of math as the transit thing, right? Because that's 2 more projects are funded, but it's below the modal range. I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Lyndon. Lyndon, can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
How does that affect your support or lack thereof for the hybrid option?
No, I support the hybrid option.
Okay, okay. Just wanted to be clear. I understood the comment. Thank you. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to say I support the hybrid option, but I do have a question. I know that at F&P there was a little bit of discussion about overprogramming and maybe some concern at, I can't remember if it was Federal Highway or MnDOT about overprogramming, and maybe that was a fiscal constraint policy concern. And I'm just wondering if maybe there was some follow-up maybe from Met Council staff about that. Will there be any issues with some of our regulators about overprogramming? And if so, at what level of overprogramming there becomes issues?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair and Jim. Great follow-up there. I did in fact have a lengthy conversation with Patrick Weideman at MnDOT Central Office, the new Brian Gage, and I think what he said to me was, one, we should look at overprogramming across the entire 4-year tip. And this is really focusing on 2 years, but across the whole 4-year tip, we're less than 10% overprogramming, and on roughly $500 million of federal funds. So he thought that was kind of a reasonable level when you look across the entire 4-year tip. He also did say that it's really up to the MPO and its partners with the committees to determine what the kind of right amount is, the appropriate level. MnDOT is maybe tighter on itself from an overprogramming perspective for the MnDOT districts as far as what they're asking their districts to do, but a little different story for the MPO. So I think, long story short, he was okay with where we were going given the entirety of the 4-year tip.
Thank you.
Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just obviously expressing my support for the hybrid scenario, understanding that the transit modal range does still fall below the minimum, but I think that's just a note to make, obviously because of the overprogramming funds coming. I was part of, I was actually on as an alternate for the funding and programming discussion, and I can just reiterate that I think it was a great, well thought out discussion, and my kudos really to staff to put this together, because I do think it ticks a lot of the boxes that TAB was looking for. But from the transit perspective, just expressing support for the hybrid option, even though it's still below the modal range, but we understand why it is.
Great, thank you for that. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, thanks. Good comments all around here. The other thing I wanted to point out, just from the overprogramming perspective, that we heard from MnDOT Central Office is that we can overprogram, but and we know this, but wanted to reiterate it that there's not additional money there. So in the case that we don't have projects, either via scope change, give back money, project delays, which is happening to us right now, or projects being withdrawn, the kind of the risk reward there is that at some point you're going into future solicitations and delaying reimbursement to projects. They're still in the tip, they're still going to happen, but they did want to reiterate that there's not additional money that we're going to get if we overprogram. It's the same amount of money. It's just kind of how we manage the program, and if things don't drop out, then it delays reimbursement.
Thanks, Stephen. Maybe just another add-on to that we discussed at TAC Exec today was that these projects will fall under the next federal authorization. And so those funding levels do typically increase, although that's just another roll of the dice. We don't actually know that. And so that's just another kind of factor in the consideration of the overall overprogramming. Looking to see if any other hands want to pop up here. Otherwise, we do have a motion and a second. And if there are no more hands raised by committee members or comments, then okay, go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, you're trying to get to a vote here, but
That's okay.
I just want to clarify one thing from Joe McPherson's motion here. I don't think he said anything about the active transportation projects, and so that, right, Joe Barbeau? I think it was just on the first point, recommending the hybrid scenario.
Yeah, I was sort of assuming that folks usually start with the recommended motion, and I was working around that, but if somebody wants to correct what is written here, let me know.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is Joe McPherson. To Steve's point, that's a good one. So I also, in my recommendation, I support the increase from, I think, original plan number of active transportation participation was 15 million. I support the Funding and Programming Committee's recommendation to go to, I think it's 18.7 without looking back at the memo. Is that what you're talking about, Steve?
Yeah, do you agree to the bullet point that's shown on the screen?
Yes.
Being part of the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Linda, and I'm good with that.
Okay, thanks. Just so we wanted to make sure that got in there.
That's great. Go ahead, Innocent. Innocent?
Yeah, I was mute. Yeah, I say also support the hybrid option mainly for the funding of the bike and pedestrian projects and some options for safety. Then, even though we do not have much projects for transit, but the addition of the 2 million for transit modernization projects, I don't know if there's extra funding for more of those. That would be good too. And also the funding for the 17 active transportation projects that really help with what we're looking at in support of reduction of greenhouse gas, improvement in reduction of PM 2.5 and NOx. So supporting of some of the non-emission types of projects or sustainable projects can support what MPC mission actually is. So I will vote for that.
Great, thank you, Innocent. Any further comments that committee members would like to make? Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I just want to offer support for the 14% over programming in particular. There's some complicated projects out there that, could be subject to delays and development challenges, and coupling that with future allocations, it seems like 14% is the right number. And, over time, as those allocations change, that number will kind of adjust itself, right? So it seems like that's the right thing to do. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Nick. All right. Pausing for just a second. Last call. All right, we are gonna move this to a vote. I see no further hands up. So all in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Go ahead, Joe.
McPherson,
Aye.
Robjet,
Aye.
Mitteco,
Aye.
Piper,
Aye.
Isaacson. Might have left. Jensen,
Aye.
Leitner,
Aye.
Witter. Sorry. Kotsukos,
Aye.
Steve Peterson,
Aye.
Boylan.
Aye.
Harrington informed me that, or I think you left. Adam Harrington? Mix my
He
people
had
up.
to
Okay.
leave. He
Yeah,
expressed his
that's-
support in the chat for the group to see.
McCartney,
Aye.
AO,
Aye.
Reef. Oh, Bridget told me she left. That's who I was. Fighting.
Aye.
Eddie,
Aye.
Turner Bargan,
Aye.
Howley,
Aye.
Omi,
Aye.
Ellis,
Aye.
Lucher,
Aye.
Ruiz,
Aye.
Kutsky,
Aye.
Hager,
Aye.
Mayel,
Aye.
Nick Peterson,
Aye.
and Dermody.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Joe?
Yes.
Brian Isaacson let me know that he has really been trying to vote and we can't hear him, but he's an aye.
Okay. The ayes have it by slightly more.
All right. That item is approved and we'll go forward to tab. And I just want to say great work by funding and programming and this group. I think after the last solicitation, there was some consternation around such a split vote. And I think that F&P has really done some good work in putting together a solution that has so much support. So great work by everyone. Thank you all for that. I'm going back to my agenda real quick here. That does conclude the business for today. And so I will just ask if any committee members have any reports that they want to share this morning. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Just quickly, a couple things here that I'm sure you'll all forget with the holiday weekend here. But first, I guess, welcome to Molly back to the committee here. She's been a good member of all of our committees. Number two, the TPP work group, technical committee. Thanks to all the people that did that. Both from an internal staff perspective, Cole did a great job leading that with Jed and Bethany and Joe Whiting, among others. But really a lot of materials that were reviewed at that technical work group that Gina and others were leading. So thank you there. And then lastly, Joe Barbeau did send out an email. It reminded me when I saw the NOFO for reconnecting communities come out this morning that not many people have tapped into the grant writing technical assistance state funds where you can get up to $30,000 per year reimbursed for federal pursuits for IIJA grants. So there's only been 5 or 6 communities in the metro that have done that. And I think maybe only about 25 to 30% of the money has been spent to date. So I just want to, we did hear from Chair Hovland and others that we did want to spread the word on that opportunity that there is money available to pursue infra, reconnecting communities, safe streets and roads for all of these programs if you don't want to pay for it yourself. So those 3 things, thank you, and good work everyone on the solicitation here today too.
Great, thanks for that, Steve. Any other updates for members? If not, I would have never put money on this coming into today, but seeing no other comments, I hope you all enjoy your extra 30 minutes today and make good use of it. I hope you all have a fun and safe long holiday weekend, and we may or may not see you in August. Otherwise, we'll see you in September. So,
Thanks, Chair.
all
Great
right.
job.
Seeing no other, no objection, we are adjourned. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.